Guys, I found something really dark, and I have spent the last 2 days worried about it. In my recent video I told you about Medusa star wink. This is when algal Medusa stars eclipse each other. From Earth, the star appears to disappear every few days. Astronomers from ancient times said that if Medusa is blinking and there are planets where it is in the sky, 27 degrees of Taurus, there's a chance of bad things happening. As I said in the video, I was excited because the star eclipse happened and the war between Ukraine and Russia didn't start. But the day after I did the live stream, I realized something had happened. If you missed the video, I recommend you watch the whole video for context. But in summary, if there are transiting planets alongside the 27th degree of Taurus, it has been said for thousands of years that something bad may happen. Beyond that, Mercury and Pluto just made a conjunction in Capricorn at 27 degrees, while there was 7 transits there. Mercury and Pluto signal intense communication, face-offs, battles of power, using power for coercion, so this by itself was intense. Also, the North Node had recently entered the sign of Taurus, and at the same time as Mercury joined Pluto, it was directly overtop the Medusa star. The North Node is the portal of the direction of our lives, individually and collectively, the energy that we're all going. Both Taurus and Capricorn are earth signs, so the 27 degrees were in direct harmony with each other. This means that there was an extreme planetary harmony with one aspect, the North Node, directly over Medusa star. Because of this, I made the video on the main channel after I checked if there was a star eclipse. The star eclipse happened on February 12th, and it seemed that everything was okay for now. As I said, I got off the internet and saw that I had been wrong. Media was not covering one news event from February 12th that had the Medusa and Capricorn qualities of intense physical confrontation. Before I tell you what it is, I want to rewind a bit to 2020, when most of the big planets, like Saturn and Jupiter, were in Capricorn when the pandemonium started. In early 2020, there was an oil surplus in markets because when the pandemonium began, industries around the world stopped buying oil. At the exact time, there was a meeting of OPEC, which is Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, in which Russia walked out of negotiations with Saudi Arabia. This was a price war, and when Russia walked out, the market was flooded with oil, sending shares of oil into negative numbers for the first time in history. This was because holding oil shares became a liability as the world was running out of space to store oil. The oil crash had huge impact on global markets, sending stocks of everything plummeting. Back to 2022, we have another concentration of planets in Capricorn, although this is dominated by inner planets like Venus and Mars, which have a lesser impact in terms of these types of world events. But almost immediately tensions rise as Russia sent over 100,000 troops to the Ukrainian border as the West pushed for NATO expansion into Eastern Europe. February 12th, the day of the eclipse, nothing happened. But after a couple days, reports started coming out that something did happen. There was a drone strike in Yemen's capital city. There is a 7-year-long war in Yemen by an Iranian-backed rebel group that has seized control of the capital city and a coalition led by Saudi Arabia. Hundreds of thousands of people have been unalived, and this is considered by UN the greatest humanitarian crisis in the world. Why did it take news agencies several days to report on this? Some say that it's prejudice against non-white nations. And although I don't disagree that prejudice dominates world politics, this situation feels oddly similar to the oil crisis, in which the actions of OPEC crashed the stock market. I believe that the raid in Yemen was not reported on because of a media blackout. This is when media is informed to not report on a matter for reasons such as international security. As tensions between Russia and Ukraine rose, especially over February 9th through the 12th, with a sudden shift away from diplomacy after the French president's visit to Russia, to reports of an immediate threat of war and U.S. evacuation of citizens from Ukraine, there was another world event happening in Yemen that was kept from the media, which I believe to be a media blackout. If you look back in history at major world wars, they always had begun on several fronts. The 7 Years' War of 1756 happened in the Americas, Europe, and even India. World War II started with the invasion of Poland by Russians from the east and Germany from the north. Meanwhile, in China, a Japanese invasion cost 20 million Chinese casualties. This is extremely alarming that there are two major conflicts happening in two locations that are very unstable right now. Furthermore, the events in Yemen coincide with the Medusa Eclipse, which strongly signals danger. Also, it seems that there was a media blackout on the Yemenis strike, and that's scary because in world politics there's an understanding that the events that we don't hear about are usually the ones that are more problematic. Beyond this, the renegade actions of Saudi Arabia in 2020 and now their military offensive against the rebels shows us that they use the world events happening elsewhere as a point of strategy for good or bad. I hope that the danger is diminishing, but I wanted to do this update to show you how Medusa works, because in my opinion it's pretty explicit. I also wanted to show you what's not been on the news. I'll open comments for this, but remember, I have friends in Russia, Ukraine, China, and the Middle East, and we must be respectful in our conversations about this. Anyone posting propaganda will have their comments deleted, as will anyone posting hateful things. Remember, these are people's lives on the line, and I'm posting this for the purpose of education and awareness. Be kind to each other.